welcome to the Carla Marie and Anthony Show. Hello, Carla Marie.
Hello, Anthony.
My name is Anthony.
Oh, I'm Carla Marie.
And there we go. There's a lot of names there, just in case you didn't remember. Yeah, you got to move over this way a little bit more, I think. Yeah, just shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. So, I'm going to start off right out the gates.
Oh.
Okay?
Oh.
With the reason I'm wearing a tank top, Carla Marie. And I don't think I can ever go back.
Okay.
So, on Friday, I was walking back from the gym, which was leg day, by the way.
Oh.
I was walking back from the gym.
Okay.
And I was, I don't know, 5 blocks away from the house. And I had my headphones in. And there are like 3 people walking towards me. 2 guys and a girl. The woman's the last one in like the line from my perspective.
What is the age?
All around my age or older. It's tough. I'm at that age now where like it's hard to figure out if people are my age or not. I feel like when you're in your upper 30s, like life hits people pretty hard sometimes. You know? So it's hard. Some
Okay.
people look super young, some people look super old. But I'd say maybe around my age, maybe a little older. And the woman's the last line. So I passed the first guy, I passed the second guy, and the woman she's like mouthing words, but I don't think she's talking to me. I thought maybe like one of the guys was with her. Then she kind of like pops her head, like kind of in front of me to get my attention. So I took out my headphones and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?" And she said, "I just want to tell you, you have beautiful arms." And I was shocked. Because, like, that's a random thing for someone to say for a complete stranger. And then, I said, like, I kind of mumbled or stuttered, "Thank you." Okay, I didn't know what to do. And then she just went about her day.
I feel like arms are the one body part you can compliment someone on without being creepy.
Maybe.
I'm sure someone will find a way to be creepy,
Yeah.
but once you get you
So,
can't even do legs.
Now that...
But how do you feel?
I felt pretty good. And you know what? I feel like now I can never go back to the sleeve life. I got to show these things off as long as I can.
Are you going to flex for us?
No.
Why not?
I wasn't flexing then. And I got compliments. So I'm just gonna live my life, you know? What are you trying to do over there?
We got to fix something. Go back.
Fix something in
Go back to where it just was.
Okay. What am I fixing? Oh, okay. So now I save this?
Yes.
Was that necessary in that moment?
Well, you were moving out of it.
Let's see. Save copy, because now there's other steps I got to do, Carla Marie.
Do you think this woman was hitting on you?
I don't know. She just left immediately. So
So no.
I don't know.
But you recently got another compliment on your arms, right? Where was that?
I don't know. Where? I did?
Where was that?
That's a great question.
Will you get the guy that always asks you about your splits?
Oh, that's different. So I was trying to think, actually. Was that the best compliment I've ever received? Or was the guy from, what's the burger place?
Little Woody's.
Little Woody's. Was that the best compliment when I went up to get my food and he asked me what my splits were, which is basically him saying like, "Hey, what's your workout routine? Because you look like someone I would like to emulate in the gym."
It's funny that like he asked you that, but it's not like he could see it really any other part of your body other than your arms.
I don't know. Maybe I should just do like arm splits and that's it. And Lenny said something like, where was it? Tank top on leg day. I'm like almost completely unsleeved in the gym now.
You don't wear sleeves.
I very rarely wear sleeves in the gym.
Nick said you got to get a shoulder tattoo now.
A shoulder tat? I don't know.
If you're going to go sleeveless.
Would Max look good on my shoulder? Max the cat? I don't know, because I think that might end up being my first tattoo. It's something to commemorate Max. What? You don't
She's a coin, like a commemorative.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Let's see, what else do we have in the chat? Muscles Out Monday? I could do that because I used to do Tank Top Fridays on the radio. And then we didn't really do...
We used to do a tank top show on Tank Top Day on Twitch.
I don't think I made it like a day. I think I just randomly wore them sometimes.
Tank Top Thursdays.
I could
or
do Tank
Tuesdays.
Top Tuesdays would make sense. But maybe I'll do it because I did it from like Memorial Day to Labor Day. So maybe I'll just continue that. I'll do tank top Tuesdays. But someone said muscles out Monday. Forgot who that was in the chat. And yeah, I mean, Carla Marie, all I got to say is you better be careful. I got ladies coming up to me on the street. I got ladies in San Diego giving me the good night sign from across the bar. You know, just maybe I could use a couple more compliments from you, you know? Just saying. You don't compliment me, someone else will.
These noise. Oh, you got to turn to show the arm to the camera. Is that what that was?
Oh, yeah, maybe I'll get a tattoo of Max lifting weights. That'll be good.
Maybe. It could be coming soon.
Let's see. Martha said you need to move over, Anthony. Your head can't fit in the screen. All right. I just needed to get that out of the way.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Maybe we'll go back to sleeves at the end of the summer. Maybe we won't. Maybe I'll never wear sleeves again.
I feel like you got just like a little bit of a tan and you think you're so cool. That's what happens.
I mean, everyone feels better with a tan.
I 100% do. Yeah. I'm wearing way less makeup. Actually, I'm not wearing any makeup right now. So
tan. So my problem with tanning is, you know, I'm not in a lot of situations where I'm like totally shirtless here in Seattle. And I do tan very quickly. So I have to be very careful because if I'm out for more than like, I don't know, 30 minutes when the sun is out, I am getting a tan. So I got to be careful with like t-shirt tans. That's why sometimes you'll see me just walking with long sleeve shirts.
Absolutely not. Nope. No. I would rather get a t-shirt tan than put on extra clothes in the summer.
No, because this is my problem. If I get a t-shirt tan just walking around and then I go sleeveless at the gym, it looks silly. I got like these bars across my arm, and you know, now that I know I have beautiful arms, I have to protect them. Do you have cocoa butter? I need to start like lathering up these things.
I have,
you know,
coconut oil.
Is that good?
Like for what? To make them look oily?
No, I need to protect them at all costs. How did J-Lo insure her butt? Should I do that with my arms?
And Taylor Swift's legs.
Like, what if I tragically lose my arm in an accident later today?
But that your arm is not how you make money.
It should be. So I have to start making money from my arms, and then I can insure it.
We should insure our voices.
Oh no, I'm not making a lot of money off this voice. If you saw my bank account, you would know.
Maybe you should start showing off the arms. You need to start doing like sexual Instagram videos of your arms.
With my arms? Just being like, hey, like squeeze things. You like that arm crease? Want to put your finger in my arm crease? Should I do stuff like that? What would I do?
Does that hurt?
Oh, I don't know. It probably could.
Only arms.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, why is everyone like a foot fetish person? What just happened here?
I don't know. That's weird.
Why can't we get some arm fetish people?
I'm sure there are.
Where do I find the arm fetish community?
They might even pay more because it's way less of a commodity.
Well, now I've got to
DJ Sin said you could pop eggs in your elbow crease.
Is there an arm
crack eggs
fetish community?
In Seattle is literally what that sentence finished. Anthony, you could put eggs in here.
Is arm fetish normal, says Reddit. I've always had a fetish where I get turned on by certain arm shapes. When I tried searching arm fetish videos, where'd it go? I didn't find anything apart from videos of amputees. See, that's not me. I got both my arms. Man, it seems like it's not like a big thing.
The arm fetish Facebook page only has 32 likes.
But if I could get $1,000 from each of them per year.
What happened to our screen?
What do you mean?
Like, we're super blurry.
I think this is just the view we get here on Twitch. Oh. This is a different view here.
Still a little blurry.
So, that is why sleeves are gone.
I think it's not an arm fetish. It's just, like, foot fetish is a thing because feet are weird, right? Like, feet are weird, and they're, like, hidden, and they're in shoes and whatever, and they're not that cute. Arm fetish is just, that guy has a nice body.
Yeah.
But
like
I feel
no
like,
one would say you have like a face fetish, right?
But I
Because
feel
people
like,
are just attracted to faces.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like women are more obsessed with other women's arms than they are with men's arms.
Well, I think guys are the same. Guys are obsessed with other guys' arms. They're not obsessed with women's arms, generally speaking.
That's fair.
It's funny the amount of people, like, the amount of clips you see where women will say things like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym because I don't want to go to a big gym because I don't want guys to, like, stare at me or talk to me or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure that there are creepy guys everywhere in the world, right? There are guys who don't know boundaries and whatnot everywhere. But the thing I talk about most to my gym friends is other guys and their workouts and their physiques and stuff.
I do want to I have a comment on this, but this is perfect because Tacoma Swifty said, instead of an arm fetish, just post non-faceless photos of your torso and arms and find Bookstagram and Book Talk and you'll find the feral girlies.
Non-faceless?
Yeah.
So so with my face?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
Post non-faceless.
Now I'm confused. Because I feel like is it here down?
No, I think my face, I don't know if my face is doing me any favors, is the thing.
Let's just pluck some eyebrow hairs.
See? Just remember, Carly Marie, there's women complimenting me on the streets. Better watch what you say about these eyebrows.
Listen, I pluck my eyebrow hairs. I think faceless. Okay. Because if you go to like Bookstagram and Book Talk, there's like this whole world of like, I don't even know how to describe it, of like women obsessing over men that could be the characters in certain stories.
Wasn't it baby Jake, producer Jake, that was telling us one of his friends or some guy he knows, he's like a very good-looking guy.
But completely different.
But he does like a book club and people pay him.
Yeah.
But he does a lot of content on Instagram, and I think it's really people paying him because he's good-looking.
Yeah.
Like, it makes thousands and that, like...
I don't think it has anything to do with the books.
Yeah,
him.
exactly.
I think he's just hot. So he could host a cooking class and be fine.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, we are going to move on from... yes.
About the gym.
Yes.
And you said you were talking about, like, women at the gym and not be. I was having a conversation with my chiropractor the other day, and she was saying how she goes to, I don't know why I'm pointing, Olympic gym.
Which is the fancy gym here in Seattle.
Yes. Her and her husband have a joint account, whatever. And she was saying how, like, when she used to work out in LA where she lived, she said it was just so annoying because she would be working out alone and guys would come up to her or say weird things or to work out behind her and she could see them in the mirror staring at her. Yeah. And she's like, that's why I like working out with him. And I said,
okay, continue.
But approach her or say weird things. Like she had a list of like the things guys say to you at a gym. And I was like, you know what's funny? I never have that ever. Because I think by the time I started going to LA Fitness, everyone at that gym knows Anthony and they know that I am with him and they are not going to say a single word to me.
That could be it.
I was like, it's great.
Maybe if you started going to a different gym by yourself, who knows? Maybe you get compliments on your arms.
I don't want any of it.
No, like I said when I started that, I totally understand there are situations where girls are getting hit on at gyms. I've seen it. And generally speaking, what I've seen at the gym, it's normally like, I've seen it 2 or 3 times. It's normally a guy starting some sort of conversation with a girl, and then he'll say, oh, you know, if you're not seeing anyone, I'd love to give you my number or something like that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that's it. But I haven't seen, and obviously I'm not there every hour of every day, even though it seems like it. I haven't seen the crazy, like, the guys getting mad that they're not getting your number or anything like that. I've seen, like, regular people flirting for the most part. And it's very, very rare. Life is a Hike. Thank you very much for that subscription. Subscribed for 43 months. Good morning to Wendy in Brooklyn. And real quick, before we get into the next couple things, we do have our field trip to Costa Rica that is going down next March. It's the end of March, early April. It'll be 6 days in Costa Rica. Whole trip is covered with the exception, basically, of your flights to and from.
And some meals.
And we are going to try to get that all booked within the next month. So there are still a couple early bird specials. If you want to book it, do that now. Huh?
Early bird spots.
Yeah, it's a special. You save $200.
Early bird special spot.
What was wrong with the way I said it?
Early bird special, you have to say spot.
Why? There are a couple early bird specials left.
I don't know, because that just makes me think of like a weird meal at a restaurant.
So you can save $200 if you want to join us. Claire just put that trip link in the chat. And Carla Marie's got another movie night.
Yes.
Not the one that's going down today.
Yeah, too late if you want to come to that one. On August 15th, so in 10 days, I am hosting a screening with Amazon. It is for their new film called My Old Ass, and it's by, Aubrey Plaza stars in it.
Oh, cool.
And I'm definitely going to cry. I'm going to drop the link in a second. I'm definitely going to cry, and it's a coming-of-age movie where a girl turns 18, she has mushrooms on her 18th birthday, trips, and then meets her 39-year-old self,
Okay.
Aubrey Plaza. But after the trip, they're still connected, and it's like, the magic part of it, I don't understand yet,
Okay.
but they can still be together. But
It's like a 13 going on 30?
very much so, but the 39, like, they get to hang out together, and she's telling her things like, don't do this. Don't hang out with any guy named Chad. He's going to ruin your life. Like, very much telling her things like not to do.
Okay.
But then there's a point of the movie where it's like, the 18-year-old's like, yeah, but if I didn't do all these dumb things, I wouldn't have that knowledge. Like, you have to do dumb things to be able to be what you are at 39 or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, I was watching it and I'm like, oh my God.
That sounds good.
But I think if you are 18, you need to see this movie. And I'm like, damn, I wish I had this exact movie when I was 18. Because there's a lot of like, be nice to your mom, all this stuff. Like, it looks so cool. And I cannot wait.
And that is August 15th.
Yes, I'm putting it in here right now.
So is that 2 weeks?
It's 10 days.
10 days. Oh, wow. 10 days from today.
Bam.
I can't believe it's August 5th
It's free.
already.
It's in Seattle. Sorry if you're not here.
But same idea. You do have to sign up. You do have to register on this list. Carla Marie is responsible for filling the entire theater, I believe, right?
Yeah, so don't let me down.
And then you're going to have to show up, obviously, a little before the screenings to make sure you get in, because it will be overbooked just like your last Alaska flight or Spirit flight. Speaking of Spirit flights, I get to go on another one this week as I go down to Vegas.
You get to go on another one.
And I say I get to because I'm trying to psych myself into being like excited for this flight, because Carla Marie decided to send me a video yesterday of a Spirit flight where people were like throwing up and screaming and praying.
They were literally screaming, crying, throwing up.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's only, what is it, 2 hours from here to Vegas? 2:15, something like that. The problem, and I think I ran into this with my Frontier flight that I took last year when I went to go see the Raiders and Giants play in Vegas with my dad. Every flight to Vegas is going to be filled with
debauchery,
some interesting people, right? Spirit flights are always filled with some interesting people. The combination of the two, I feel like it's going to be a wild experience. Yes, Carla Marie.
Wasn't it a Spirit flight to Vegas where you got cut off for drinking too many Buzzballs?
It was.
Do it again.
It was.
Do it again. Please, let's see how many they give you.
I will probably.
The limit should be one Buzzball.
So the reason I was drinking Buzzballs on the plane when this went down, I think this was 2017. It was Memorial Day 2017 or 2016.
Really?
I was meeting a bunch of friends who were celebrating a bachelor party.
Oh, and you were.
I knew they were out that morning, and I was going to meet up with them, and we were going to all go out. Or not morning, afternoon. They were at a pool party.
Because we had a radio show, and we were never allowed to take off.
Yeah, so I said, you know what? I'll have a couple drinks. Make sure I'm kind of like lubricated in the mood when I get down there. Ordered a Buzzball. Everything went fine. Ordered a second Buzzball.
Never.
Everything went fine. And the flight attendant came up and said, would you like another one? So I said, sure. Why not? Everything's still good. I'm not talking to a single person. Just hanging out, minding my own business. And the head flight attendant came back with the Buzzball in hand and said, hey, I'm going to give you this, but I have to let you know we need to cut you off now. And she's using her loud-ass voice when she's saying this.
Her teacher voice.
And I went, no, it's okay. I don't need it. I don't know why I'm being cut off, but I don't need the Buzzball. My life is fine. I don't need a Buzzball. And she said, no, well, we promised it to you, but on a flight this short, the limit is 2 drinks per customer. And I said, okay, I don't need the buzzball. She said, no, sir, I'm going to give you the buzzball. Like raising her voice to me now.
And but the fact is that everyone's saying the word buzzball.
Yeah, I'll give you the buzzball. You can have this drink, but then I have to cut you off. And it was wildly embarrassing. I still drank it.
I feel like buzzball would be like a good like diss. Like, you're being such a buzzball.
I think they'd be a great sponsor for like ESPN, the Ocho, for all the crazy sports they do.
Oh. Well,
the buzzball.
Buzzballs are 15%.
That's not that bad. It's more than a beer, but it's less than.
Sure, it's more than double a beer.
But it's less than an alcohol, like a mixed cocktail.
Not a chance.
What are you talking about?
Because I'll tell you what, I have been a test dummy for several times in my life, and I can have 2 drinks of tequila and 2 buzzballs and have wildly different experiences.
Marijuana, I said a regular buzzball or the giant ones. No, they were all 3 of them were regular sized buzzballs.
I've never seen a giant one.
Yeah, they have bigger ones now.
How? We got to hold it like this?
It's like a fishbowl.
That's what I was going to say.
So I will probably have,
What?
I don't know, 1 drink, maybe 2 as I head down there because I'm going to be getting to Vegas on Thursday around like 9 p.m. My cousin whose bachelor party we're celebrating will be there before me, and they're doing some sort of old Vegas bar hop, bar crawl thing.
So you're hanging out with how old are these guys?
They range anywhere. I've got to be the oldest one.
You're definitely the oldest. Oh, no.
And I think the youngest one might be my cousin Matthew, who is going to be 25, I believe. Yeah.
How old is the bachelor?
27, I think.
He's younger than my nieces?
I think he's a year younger than them. How old are they?
They'll be 28 this month.
Yeah, so then he'll be, I don't know, 27 or 28, whatever the hell he is.
I think he's 28 in December.
Sure.
So you're hanging out with a bunch of young dudes.
Yeah, I'm going to be staying, though, with my cousin Julian, who's only, he was a freshman when I was a senior. So we're closer in age, yeah. What?
He's got a whole ass family.
He does, yeah.
It was so weird.
He's got a real job, family, house. He's doing the whole thing.
I mean, I know that there are people in their 20s that have jobs and families as well.
Let's see.
It's just so weird.
The Kimmy Cam said, I didn't know buzzballs existed until this conversation.
Oh, so then you've never heard the story.
I didn't know buzzballs were a thing until I got on a Spirit Airlines flight.
I didn't also know buzzballs were a thing until you got on the Spirit Airlines flight, however many years ago.
But now they're sold everywhere now.
Was it not until No, and then you would, like we talked about, I remember this is a My Day Friday conversation. We talked about it all the time. And then I finally got myself a buzzball at the grocery store one day. I think it was during COVID. And I remember drinking it on the roof at home. Mm-hmm. And then at Sam's bachelorette party, before we set out on our desert tour in Arizona, they said there's a liquor store, you guys can BYOB. And we get to the liquor store and I was like, buzzballs, let's go. And I think I drank 2 buzzballs. I was like, you guys don't know the story about Anthony getting cut off? It's crazy. Apparently they have so much alcohol in them. Well, then I also ate a weed brownie that night. And
that's probably what did it.
I threw up the entire week of my life, apparently, in a kitchen sink.
Yeah, that'll happen. But I would also like to point out, I didn't do anything crazy on this flight. It was just the fact that they gave me an extra drink when they weren't supposed to, according to their rules. Also, I feel like we only had 40 minutes left in that flight. They were about to shut down service anyway. I feel like that flight attendant could have just, if she was going to give me the drink anyway, could have just, I don't know, shut the fuck up. Give me the drink. There wasn't going to be another scenario where I was going to get another drink, right? She gave me that one. We were going to land soon. They closed down the cart, right? 7th inning stretch. It's done. That would have been it. We could have gone without incident.
So the thing I will say about buzzballs that I think really gets you, though, is that there's a lot of sugar in them. And also, to stick up for that flight attendant very quickly, I am sure that they have been on those flights with people to and from Vegas, chugging their buzzballs, getting wild, and she was not ready to deal with that.
That's actually what started this story, if you remember.
Yes.
I was anticipating that on this flight on Thursday. What I'm saying is I wasn't that person. I didn't even... The only words that I spoke on that flight were to the flight attendant.
But I'll never forget this because you called me after. Which was like weird for you to call me after.
I needed to tell someone.
This was, we're still on the radio. Mm-hmm. We're not dating. You call me and I'm like, hello? You were a friend. A little toasty.
Off the flight.
Just off the flight. And I was like,
yeah.
Someone on Reddit said, how many shots are buzzballs equivalent to? And this person, this is not facts. This is just from Reddit. A 15% buzzball would be about 1.7 shots. A 20% buzzball, because there are some of them, would be about 2.3 shots.
Okay, but I wasn't having the extreme.
You don't know that.
No, I was having like the regular ones they have on Spirit. It was like lemon lime or something like that.
It doesn't mean anything.
They weren't the crazy ones.
Because different cut waters are different.
That's
some
true.
of them are like
That's true.
8 and some of them are 14.
Listen, all I know is Spirit Airlines again. I might take it again in September down to Vegas.
I'm going
to be racking up these Spirit points, which will take me to, I don't know, nowhere because of Spirit Airlines.
Fred the Mailman said, buzzball sounds like a hipster manscaping salon.
That's actually pretty great. All right, we're going to take our quick little break here. If you are a subscriber, you'll be able to play the words on screen game in the chat.
Yes.
You type in exclamation point and the word play, and then you can just type it in there. If you're not a subscriber, please watch the ads because that's how Twitch pays us. All right. I don't know what those words or those letter combinations were at the end there. That was pretty difficult. But let's get back to it. So, Carla Marie, one last reminder for next week's movie theater or next movie night in 10 days.
Yes, in 10 days, I'm doing a movie screening at Regal Meridian here in Seattle for Aubrey Plaza's movie called My Old Ass.
So if you want to join that, Carla Marie's going to put the link in the chat in a second. You have to sign up for that if you are going to show up. It is free.
Is anyone coming tonight?
Didn't they say like 130 people registered or something?
More than that, I think.
Sweet.
So,
you're putting the link in there. There we go. Perfect. This is going to sound weird, but there was a comedy show right outside our studio yesterday or on Friday night.
Right there.
Like literally there were people outside of that door on that side of that wall, just listening to jokes, having a good laugh. And it was awesome. And if you've never heard of Don't Tell Comedy, they're in a bunch of cities around the country. I know it started in LA.
You may have heard of them if you listen to Side Hustlers.
Oh, yeah.
Because in January of 2019, insane,
yeah,
I had Kyle, the CEO and founder of Don't Tell Comedy, on Side Hustlers. And the whole gist of how the company works is they find random locations, i.e. our office, and they just tell people, hey, we're going to put a comedy show in your city, or it'll be in like this zip code. You'll get the exact address 24 hours before. Mm-hmm. And they've done them everywhere from like boats to warehouses to shipping containers. Like it's just the most random places.
I went in LA years ago. And it was literally just a warehouse or like a art studio that wasn't being used or something like that. Some weird event space in kind of a shady area in Los Angeles. And it was great. And they connected with our friends here at Gillywagon.
Yep.
And they weren't here for us. They were here for Gillywagon because they have the space. And it was so much fun. I had never heard of any of these comedians before.
We sat in the front row.
Yeah.
You got called out.
Very cool. I was actually surprised. I only got called out right in the very beginning. But we were also sitting right next to our studio door.
Yeah, we were sitting under our own names.
And the host said something like, oh, that's your studio over there after he made a couple jokes. And we said, yeah. And then they stopped.
I was like,
I think maybe they thought we were going to like broadcast them or something. I don't know.
Well, I hope it happens again. And if it does, but we can't tell you where. Like, we can't be like, oh, there's a Don't Tell comedy show at our studio. So
no, you basically sign up for their newsletter. And I think they have different accounts now for different cities. Like Seattle has a specific Don't Tell Comedy Seattle Instagram page.
But they have to tell you what zip code, because Seattle, like, if you live in Capitol Hill and they're like, you got to go all the way up to here, Ballard, that's a trek.
But you'll know 24 hours beforehand.
Well, what I'm saying is they tell you I believe the area before you buy the ticket.
Yes.
I don't want people to get confused.
I don't think it was confusing at all.
But it's not like it's in Seattle. It's too big of a space to say that.
I feel like we're harping on a detail that doesn't matter right now. There's a very good chance if you're in a big city, they have one in your area too.
Yes.
Made by Erica said they're in D.C. Like we said, they started in L.A. They have one in Seattle. I'm sure New York has one. Maybe multiple franchises of it.
It was also BYOB, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's an entire bar here.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is when they book the space doesn't really have to provide anything other than the space and the chairs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like Gillywagon was
No.
Slinging cocktails here.
No.
That would have been a whole different thing with a whole different license.
They bring their own speaker and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was awesome. It sounded really good. So if we're ever talking about going to a Don't Tell comedy show, there's a chance it might be here.
Oh, it could be, yeah.
So
who knows? I know they rotate. They don't have like specific places they go to all the time. Long story short, definitely go.
Mm-hmm.
I've never gone to a comedy show. Even when you watch people bomb sometimes, I've never gone to a comedy show and regretted it.
I don't know. I was watching them. I'm like, man, I don't think I could ever do this.
It is a difficult thing to do.
Because you're bouncing off the audience. You have no idea what the audience is going to, what their vibe is that day.
Someone said who was Run Like a Husky just said, what is the difference between Gillywagon and Seattle Cocktail Club? I would say Gillywagon is the parent company.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they're broken down. They might be different companies, whatever. But conceptually, Gillywagon is the parent company. They have some event production stuff that they do for other brands. They also have Seattle Cocktail Club, which then has a yearly event, which Seattle Cocktail Club does these cocktail meetups once a month at least. But then they also have their big event of the year, which is Carnival of Cocktails and Seattle Cocktail Week.
It's kind of like saying, what's the difference between EMH Media and the Carla Marie Anthony Show?
Yeah, because we also have the Morning Show podcast under EMH Media. So
and you look great.
There's different products under Gillywagon, different services, if you will.
I can't speak today, and I was going to say, am I having a stroke? And that's weird because today is the stroke anniversary for Alabama because she had her stroke on the air in 2019, 5 years ago.
That was crazy. It's
like in studio with us.
Wild to think that all of that went down within 40 minutes, right? Everything from her first symptoms to her, well, not even her first symptoms, from her telling us she wasn't feeling well to her being wheeled out on a stretcher. It was all within our show time. Yeah. But people were coming in. I'll never forget, one of the things that was so frustrating about that, there were two things actually that were very frustrating about that. We started the show, in case you don't know the story, in the 6 o'clock hour, we have, towards the end of that hour, we have a talk break, or had a talk break, that would usually end with some phone calls and some text messages. And we'd get all the listener interactions. We did the first half, and what would happen is, as we were recording, when songs were playing, we'd be recording the phone calls, and then everyone would also be looking at the text screen to see what good text messages came through. And normally, after we played the phone calls, live, someone, like whether Carla Marie or Alabama or Evan, would read some of the text messages. And we had told Alabama hey, area code 253, make sure you read that one when we're back to being live. She said, okay. And then right before we went on the air, she said, hey guys, can someone else read this text message? I'm seeing like double of everything. She's like, I don't think I can see it. Yeah. So, okay, fine. It's early. Things happen. If you've ever woken up super early for your career, it sucks. So we did that break. I think, Carla Marie, you probably read the next text message. And I think it was from Dump Trucker Jay. I don't remember. Very well could have been. That. So then the mics go off. We play another song. And now in our show schedule, we probably had like 20 minutes where we weren't going to be live again because we had Dirty Little Secret, which is pre-recorded, some commercials, some songs. So she's like, man, I'm really not feeling good. So we said, why don't you go lay down in our office? We have a couch in the office. Just go lay down and we'll come get you when we need you. And I was like, what, did you eat something? Are you allergic to something? She was like, I don't know. I had vitamins last night. Maybe like it was an empty stomach. I'm like, probably like that'll, I was like, which vitamin? She's like, I took some new weird vitamin this morning. So we immediately. And Alabama was the person that would be like, oh yeah, I just saw this thing that some guy was selling me on the street. So I thought it would be good for me.
So she goes to walk out of the studio, and we see her like fall into the wall, and we're like, that's weird. So I go to like take her to the office, lay her down, get her water, and I'm like, I get her food to eat, like a snack or something. We're like, it's just weird. The walking thing was like what scared us all.
So
Evan's mom was visiting.
Yeah.
Thank God we had a mom there.
That's true. So eventually we went on the air, and I said something like, hey, I don't really know what to do in this situation. It was probably our 7:20 break, whatever that was.
Because
we have someone in our studio who doesn't want to go to the hospital, but we think she might have to.
Well, we said Alabama. You didn't say someone in our studio. You said Alabama. She couldn't see straight, and I said, and she's slurring her words now, because by then.
And I mentioned how we were telling her to go to the hospital, but she said she was fine. And so many text messages came through saying, everything you described is a stroke. Go check for these things. People called in, and we said, okay, screw it.
Who called?
I don't remember. It was a caller we never had before.
No, who called 911?
Evan, I believe. Yeah.
What? No, because we were gonna have him take her to the hospital.
So originally we were gonna have Evan, because there's a hospital not very far from the studio. We were gonna have Evan drive her to that hospital just to like get it done.
Thank God we did not.
She also was so worried about the cost of the ambulance that she was okay with that. And not thankfully, because this guy had a heart attack. He's fine now. But thankfully, there was this anecdote that I remembered from our friend Romeo, who does Most Requested Live on Saturday nights across the country. He was with his wife, had some chest pain. His wife drove him to a hospital. Turns out he was having a heart attack, but she drove him to a hospital that didn't have the proper, like, things that he needed. So they needed to drive him to a separate hospital. Had they called 911, I mean, like I said, thankfully he's alive, but there is a part of his heart that's like not functioning anymore. Yeah. There's a chance, had they called 911, he would have had a faster response to the right hospital, and it would have been a better outcome.
Yeah.
So I had that playing in my head because it didn't happen that long ago when Alabama had the stroke. And I said, screw it, we're calling 911. I think Evan's mom may have called 911.
I'm like I need to ask.
So this is all happening, and this is where the two frustrating things come in. There was some woman who texted in and started like chastising us. Like, this is a HIPAA violation, blah, blah, blah. And first off, that's not what a HIPAA violation is.
And this was before COVID, before everyone was slinging the word HIPAA around.
People love to bring up HIPAA and not actually know what that's about.
Right.
That is like literally between you, your insurer, and your business
and
your employer. It's the information that's shared between those three entities.
Not employer.
Yeah, it's your. I'm not going to get into HIPAA because I also don't know all
it's
about
your doctor.
What are you talking about?
HIPAA is between you and your doctor.
It's a health insurance thing.
And insurance. Okay. But not your employer.
Well, it's something about they can't share things with your employer because...
You didn't say that.
Okay. Going back. So that was the first annoying thing, was there was this woman that was just... It was multiple text messages. I can't believe you guys did this. It's a privacy violation. It's a HIPAA violation, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there like, lady...
Yeah,
I'm just trying to help my friend not die. So maybe relax. Mm-hmm. And then, so that was an annoying thing to deal with. And then as Alabama's getting wheeled out, we had this market president at the time who was essentially making fun of me for having someone call 911. He's like, she's probably fine.
She's just dehydrated.
She's dehydrated. You guys made a big deal out of nothing. She's going to be fine.
I said to him.
And he even said... At one point, he said something like, now the whole office is worried about this.
And the next day, I was like, so she had a stroke.
Yeah.
Dehydrated? I flat out said it. He was like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah. That's why we do not listen to old white men ever.
No, there are a lot of old white men, and there are also doctors that also saved her life. So.
I think it was a woman, actually. Anyway, the ambulance took her to the right hospital.
Yeah.
That was a specific hospital.
That was the best thing that we did. And it was something that a lesson that I'll keep with me forever, because we were going to send her to the hospital. It's actually not far from here, Swedish and Ballard.
Yeah.
And it's a great hospital, but they took her to the part of the Swedish medical system that specifically had a stroke wing, if
Specialized,
you will.
yeah. They were able to inject her immediately with like the stroke stuff.
Let's see. So Natalie says HIPAA means your healthcare provider cannot release your information to really anyone, employer, insurance, or other people that are not authorized or family. Yes.
So it's between you and your doctor.
Yes.
That's.
Let's see. Healthcare professional cannot share information with anyone you don't approve. That's from Jules.
That's why you have to fill out, like, can they leave you a voicemail even?
Yeah. Because if you share, like, a house number or something. But yeah, the 5-year anniversary of Alabama's stroke. And then the crazy part was we had to leave, like, a couple days. The next week, we had to leave for morning show boot camp, which is going down this week.
And Alabama's going this week.
It's going down in San Diego. And let's see. Mish said, so since the radio station is not a medical provider, there was no HIPAA violation. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, like you can like I could talk about anyone's healthcare on
yeah.
I could talk about someone having a health issue on the air because I am not a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
That is what the thing is.
I didn't sign a contract with that person.
No. Is it sometimes it's not morally or ethically right to do that, but
AMS said medical professionals can even get in trouble if they're talking to their friends about something that happened at work and overheard by the wrong person. Yeah. And that's the thing. It very well, I don't know if it saved her life. I don't know if she would have died that day, which is a crazy thing to think of. But the outcome was definitely much better than it would have been if A, we didn't talk about it at all on the radio. B, we didn't call the ambulance. Like all of the things that happened happened for a reason. It got her the best care she possibly could. And she, fully recovered. As fully recovered as Alabama's going to recover. And she would say the same thing. So,
well, then she found out she had a hole in her heart that she was apparently born with and didn't know until 30-something years old after the stroke. Yeah. And they think that a clot, air bubble traveled through that to her brain.
And that's what caused the stroke.
So then she had to get heart surgery.
Let's see. You probably saved other people's lives too. So
she said that people have reached out to her being like, I only knew these symptoms because of you.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
The best part was that we had a boss that was yelling at us every day to talk about the situation and Alabama being in the hospital. And at that point we were like, we're not get her on the air, do this, send Evan to the hospital. We're like,
which we did later on.
But we're like, let her just fucking breathe, bro. And then it was, she's taking off too much time. It's like, she should have had 2 months off.
Yeah. And that was the crazy part was there was this back and forth of managers
telling us how to.
Yeah, they were telling us how to manage this situation.
On the air.
And off the air.
Yeah.
Like they were literally mad that she wasn't back at work soon enough. And we kept telling her, stay home.
Yeah.
Like we're going to be fine. And then we had the management saying, no, she has to be back. She has to be back. She has to be back. And we told people on the air, yes, Alabama's in the hospital. If you were here with us yesterday, she was rushed out. That's all we can say right now. So that's the way we were able to at least not box out our audience when it happened. But we wanted her, we weren't going to get on the air and be like, oh, by the way, when we were talking about Alabama yesterday.
I think we said she had a stroke. I think we had her on to talk about it.
Yeah, she was the one that did.
Oh, that's right. We wanted her to say it.
And it was just weird. It's people who are not attached to a situation trying to make decisions for that thing, and it never works out properly. I'm not saying that like management is always terrible in every situation, or there can't be consultants that help. But if you're not in there, especially with a group like that, it's really weird to have someone come and try to tell you what to do. The funniest thing to me was actually the same people who did that, trying to pretend like they knew exactly how to handle that situation, were the same people who during COVID were like, guys, best practice in this situation is X, Y, and Z. And we would stop them and go, what are you talking about?
Is this what you did during the Spanish flu on the radio?
What do you mean?
On Top 40 radio?
Best practice in this situation. You're literally making things up on the fly, which is fine. We were all doing that. But you're literally talking out of your ass as if you know what the best way to provide radio content in a global pandemic is. It's insane.
Yeah, I think about that often. The other day when we were talking about we were talking about our it was not the day we talked about it being 4 years since we got let go. It was a day last week, but for some reason we were talking about jobs, management, whatever. And I told Anthony this story, but I accidentally opened a file on my computer that opened up my Outlook Express or Outlook, which I don't use. I truly have not used since the day they turned off our email. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, that's weird. And it was like a time capsule because it was all of my old emails still there. Like I found emails back when I was like on the air with Elvis, like things that I had saved. And I was like, oh, this is so weird. Like it was truly like going into the box of notes under your bed and reading things. And some of it was like, oh my God, I remember this. That was so funny. Or wow, like talking about what's trending things way back at Elvis's show because it was just all my saved stuff that I think was there.
Okay.
Then I was like, ooh, I clicked on a folder that was specifically one of our bosses because I guess I just saved all of his emails. I don't know why.
Yeah.
For torture.
Well, I would save emails from this person and notes. I would write down things he said in meetings because he was the one that was the most notorious for
manipulating.
Not manipulating. For giving you a set of guidelines, rules, instructions, whatever, and then within 2 weeks coming back and pretending like he never said those things and giving you the complete opposite story.
And also being manipulative.
Yes.
Separate of that.
Yes.
And I found an email, like emails from 2019 before we launched our show where we were just being berated for going away for a weekend.
Sorry, when you say launch our show, the biggest version of our show that had us, Gordon, Alabama, and Evan.
Yes. And Anthony and I were going away for a weekend trip with friends to Tahoe. And he was like, okay, Friday, we're going to have this meeting, blah, 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 with the two of you and Evan. First of all, and Alabama wasn't even there yet.
Alabama was still driving up from Alabama.
And he was like, we're going to do this meeting. And I was like, well, we have to leave by 11 a.m. We have a trip. And he said, I'm mad. This is disappointing. And
you let me down.
We have to plan the show. And I was like, okay, well, we have till 11 a.m. on Friday. Mm-hmm. What time do you, like, we have all week. And then the week after that, we're literally only gone for the weekend. And he was like, I'm just so frustrated. I told you to save the first 3 weeks of March. And I'm like, okay, well, one, I don't remember that. Two, that's aggressive. Three, it's a weekend.
Yeah.
And this is just ridiculous. We have to launch a show in 15 days. And the crazy part of all of this now looking back is, and not her fault.
No.
Alabama wasn't even going to be there. And you're yelling at the two of us and Evan.
Yeah.
Like, just because you need to be angry at something. Yeah. But just the way he was speaking in the emails, I was going, oh man, this is great. I don't have to deal with this anymore, you fucking dick.
Yeah.
It was such a fun moment. Gave me major PTSD for a hot second.
And that's the crazy. You're going to end up at some point in your career with a manager that you have to keep receipts for. Mm-hmm. Whether it's because they're toxic, whether it's because they're breaking the law, whether it's because they're just so wildly inconsistent that you have to be able, because I remember there was one point with the same manager that and there was a question from Run Like a Husky that I want to get into in a second. This same manager, I, for a long time, felt like I was on crazy pills because I would get notes back from shows that we did, and we all were in these meetings together, and I would try to, make the adjustments that management wanted, and I would do that for a couple weeks, and I'd come back, and we'd have more meetings and more meetings and more meetings, and all of a sudden, all the things that we were told were the wrong things, and I was all of a sudden doing things wrong, and it would really messed with my brain for a long time.
Yeah.
And I decided, you know what, I'm going to start. I'm never, even in school, never a physical note taker. I hate jotting down notes. I said, I'm going to take notes for all of these meetings. And I know that the dirty little secret that this all came to light. There was a dirty little secret we played where a girl, I believe she was in Tacoma, called the DEA on her roommate because she felt like this new roommate they had was selling massive amounts of drugs out of their building, and she hated him. She was like, I need him out of here. I don't know how else to do this. I'm going to make an anonymous phone call to the DEA, which is the Drug Enforcement Agency, I believe. But we played that whole thing on the air. That day, we had one of these infamous meetings with this manager. And I remember him saying something along the lines of, and I still have the notes somewhere, this is one of my favorite dirty little secrets ever because it's in the moment. Like, it hasn't even finished yet.
Yeah.
And we're in it with this person. It's a ride, blah, blah, blah. We move on to the next thing, okay? Now, keep in mind, we used to have this system where we would rotate our dirty little secrets. The brand new ones that were just recorded would play at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Then they'd re-air, usually 3 to 4 months down the line, in the 6 and 8 o'clock slots. Because you generally, on radio, you don't have the same audience in those hours. Turns out, we have another one of these infamous meetings, which we had 3 times a week, so it's not rare that we had these meetings. And it happened to be a day where we were air checking the 6 or 8 o'clock hour where this Dirty Little Secret was being replayed. And he said, you know, guys, I don't know if this Dirty Little Secret should have been aired. It's not done yet. We don't really know how this resolves. There's no, there's a lot of information that we don't have for this Dirty Little Secret. And something didn't sit right with me when he said that. It didn't occur to me right away. And the meeting keeps going on because the Dirty Little Secret is like the first thing we heard in the meeting. And I couldn't get it out of my brain. I'm like, I feel like he liked this thing the first time we aired it. So as he's talking, I'm not paying attention at all anymore. I'm flipping through my old notes and I get to that page. What he didn't know is I had my screen in front of me with like my chart of the dates that everything plays. So I went to that date. I said, motherfucker. I said, so, hey, sir, I'm not going to say his name.
That's why I was getting nervous.
I said, I want to go back to that Dirty Little Secret for a second. He said, sure, what's up? I said, whatever the date was, let's say it was April 15th. I said, on April 15th, I have a note here for this exact Dirty Little Secret that was not changed at all, saying it is one of your favorite Dirty Little Secrets of all time for the exact reasons that you're saying today you don't like it. And this is when I realized we were being led by the wrong person. He said, well, maybe I was in a different mood that day. And I said, but our consulting meetings shouldn't be based on your mood that day.
Could you imagine being married to that person?
I've met that woman. She's a saint because she has probably the worst person ever to be married to.
Jilly Beans, I appreciate you looking for the best in people, but I'm not going to accept that. Maybe he had a change in heart. Absolutely not. Because I cannot tell you the fact that Anthony just had the receipts for this little dirty little, this little moment, I was going to say, but this dirty little secret is one thing. And when it's that, it doesn't seem that bad. But when it's your character, it would go from meetings where like, I don't like that you're talking about this part of your life. Don't talk about it. To why aren't you talking about this more? Or you're talking about this too much. Don't say that. Like, I would rant, like if a caller would say something like, oh, I'm thinking about getting a boob job or something, I would say things like, I have one. It was the best thing I ever did, whatever at the time. And he'd be like, stop saying that on the air. Women don't like other women that have boob jobs. And I'm like, okay.
Some women might not. And that's fine.
And that's fine. But you're also the same person that tells me you don't want everyone to like you. You need people to hate you. They're going to hate. Listen, well, like there was just so much. And boobs aren't about my character. It would just be small little things that he would flip flop on all the time. And you would feel fucking crazy.
And I think that's the worst part. You might think, oh, well, he didn't like a Dirty Little Secret one day. He liked it another. Not a big deal. Yeah. And I would agree with that, honestly. Your mood changes sometimes. You listen to a song, and when you're in one mood, you listen to another song for a different reason.
But if you're going to be a manager and be in that situation, you have to be a better manager.
You have to be a little more consistent. But I think the thing that sucks is it makes you feel like you never know what you're doing right.
Yes.
And when that person has the keys to your career in their hand, you get to a point, and this is where the only time I was mad at myself in our radio career was I did get to a point where I was producing a show for that person, not for our audience.
Yep.
I produced a different show the day that I knew we were going to be meeting with him just to protect everybody.
Yep.
Even if it wasn't content that we loved or thought our audience was going to love. It was survival mode at that point. But when you're doing survival mode 2 to 3 days a week on a 5-day show, you're not doing your real show anymore.
No, and I think that's why sometimes it's like, I'm not bitter because I got let go.
No.
I'm bitter because what we were put through. And the reason we got let go is not because of our performance.
No.
It was because of how we were led and how we were forced to do a show. And if we would have just been able to do the show we wanted to do, it would have been better.
At the end of the day, they were going to let us go that day no matter what. We could have had any show with any ratings. There was a person that the company had been dying to bring into the fold. And that was it. We were the
chess.
Yeah, it was a game of corporate chess. And we were a pawn that had to get sacrificed so they could bring in who they thought was going to save the station. Turns out it didn't. It's 4 years later. But it is what it is. I assumed we were getting let go when the person we got replaced with was let go from their job. I literally said to Carla, I said, it's only a matter of time.
I was like, they could never.
I said, it's only a matter of time before they fall for it. Our old boss used to be his old boss. He brought him into the fold. That's it. So,
Fred the Mailman said, my ex-business partner hated being on Slack for meetings because it created too many receipts. Mm-hmm. He couldn't pull the I never said that anymore. Our partnership ended shortly after.
Yeah. Generally speaking, shitty people are the ones that don't want receipts. Right? Like, if you're scared of the receipts, it's because you're probably saying stupid things, or you're inconsistent, or you're lying. If you're just doing things, and everyone makes mistakes. Everyone does have a change of heart. That's not the end of the world. You can, sometimes the best business decisions are when you pivot. But you have to have a plan to pivot from. You can't be pivoting every day or every week. You have to have some sort of plan that you said, you know what? Here are some of the things we're going to change moving forward, and we're going to stay consistent with that until we give it some time to live. So I don't even know how we got to, because we were talking about Alabama.
But thank you for, this is our therapy sometimes.
Yeah. So but there was a question from Run Like a Husky, and it was saying, once you get let go from iHeart, can you not work for any other station? Is that true?
Who said that?
So with most radio contracts, and thankfully, I know this is going to sound like a glowing endorsement for President Biden. All I'm saying is I don't know if in my life there has been a more consequential decision from any administration. Maybe Obamacare, because that's like keeping me alive right now. But the decision to get rid of non-competes.
Yeah.
I almost cried that day. We gave up $12,000 each when we got let go because of a clause in our non-compete. They owed us more money at iHeartRadio. And they basically said, well, we can give you that money, but you've been doing Twitch. And that we could consider a violation of your non-compete. So you can either continue to do Twitch, which was the only thing we were like able to do at the time, or we could give you the $12,000 each.
Man, that would be so nice right now.
Yeah, I still think we made the right decision.
I agree.
But they never would have had that power if this new decision from the White House and from the administration came through where they got rid of non-compete. So I say that because a lot of radio contracts do have non-compete clauses.
And that's not even like yes, they'll pay you, but you can't talk to or have conversations with, sorry, that's the same sentence. You can't have conversations with or go work at another radio station for X amount of time. But the problem is, in that time, you become you're not relevant.
Yeah.
And that's
what they want.
The scariest thing when this is your career.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, do I take the money or do I just go have job interviews? What do I do? It's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
So technically, today, all non-competes don't matter unless there's a threshold. If you make over $140,000 and you have essentially decision-making or policy-making roles with your company, then your non-compete can go until the end of your current contract, but you cannot be forced to sign another non-compete. And if you make under $140,000, they're all void, which the amount of people that I talked to in radio, in TV, in any media that legitimately cried that day because they felt, even if they were under contract and in a great position, there was this freedom that you finally felt like, oh my God, I can't get fired now for just having lunch with someone from a different radio station. Or I can now take that other offer from another radio station. It's paying me $30,000 more.
Yep.
And I don't have to leave my city. I don't have to leave my home, right? Like it was crazy how many opportunities people missed out on because of those non-competes. And these companies, a lot of people say like, oh, well, we're funneling resources into these people. Yeah. These companies are making their employees sign in radio. I can't speak to any other business. Are making people sign these non-competes for like $27,000 a year jobs.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
And I'm not, listen, if you have a $27,000 a year job, I'm not trying to shit on that job at all. But all money is good money.
But you should be able to grow and go somewhere else and make more money.
You shouldn't be held essentially hostage for 3 or 4 years to a $27,000 a year job and not be allowed to grow.
Right.
And that's what used to happen. So to Run Like a Husky's question, today, those non-competes are essentially non-existent. That could change in November. It was already challenged in court once. It could end up in the Supreme Court. I believe I did the story 2 weeks ago on the Morning Show podcast. A Pennsylvania judge ruled that the non-compete bill or ban can remain intact. It'll probably go up to the Supreme Court, and who knows if the administration changes the administration will change in November because Biden's not running again. But if there's a drastic change in the administration, that rule might come back. So we'll see.
Lenny said, I missed out on so many opportunities because of non-competes.
Yeah. Angela said, wait, you can't have lunch with someone on another radio station. No, you can have lunch with like your competing radio station personalities, but you can't take like
a business.
If they find out that you took an offer or fielded an offer, you could be fired from your current job. Or sued. So
yeah.
It's not like we could have gone to lunch with Brooke or Jeffrey or whoever. So
Run Like a Husky said, I have a veterinary cardiologist. Her non-compete is the entire U.S. because she does a surgery nobody else can.
That should be illegal. Although, does that non-compete now matter? I don't know if she falls into that category. Who knows? Man, we got to a lot. We didn't even get into jumping out of airplanes. You want to do that tomorrow?
Okay.
All right. We will talk about our jumping out of airplanes or our ride up with an airplane.
Yeah.
We will talk about that tomorrow. Ron Like Husky did say she would be saved by the new rule. There are very few people who would not benefit from this new rule. And that's why...
all of the companies.
Yeah. I don't feel bad for them.
Me neither.
They're not people.
No.
I sympathize with people, not companies.
I bet you these radio companies will make people still, right now in this moment, sign non-competes just in case the law doesn't go through.
You can't. You can't put it in a contract today.
Oh, my God.
So, like, if we were to, even if between now and November, hypothetically, let's say we sign a contract with a radio company. They cannot put a non-compete in that radio contract. And if, let's say Trump was to win, and I don't know if he would. He hasn't talked about it, but let's say Trump wins and reverses the Biden rule. They still wouldn't be able to retroactively add one. We would still be clear.
Okay.
So if we sign a contract, we got to do it by November.
Well, no, because he's still president until January.
True. So we got to do it by January.
Megan said that there was a story she almost sent to me. It was a testimony in front of the Supreme Court. A wedding dress designer that got barred from using her birth name in public due to her non-compete.
That's crazy. There are things radio stations can still do. Like if you created a character, if you don't use your real name, they can hold that as that's their intellectual property. And that's fine. Shady, but fine. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up about the whole non-compete thing, and now I can't remember. Whatever. If it was important, I'll bring it back tomorrow.
Okay.
But it's crazy. It's crazy that is a thing that companies can do. They can just say, nope, you can't work in this whole state. There was a nurse that I was talking to who wanted to leave I think it was like a Central Jersey hospital she was working in. Her non-compete would have basically forced her to move 2 hours away. She's got kids in school. Her husband has a job. She couldn't work for any other medical facility at that level.
That's crazy.
Within a 2 hour radius. So she would have had to move to Pennsylvania, to North Jersey, like super North Jersey, super South Jersey. And that rule finally freed her up once it went into effect a couple weeks ago to work wherever she wants. Oh, that's the last thing I wanted to say. There was an email that went out. I don't remember who showed it to me or who sent me the screenshot. iHeart was one of the companies that did and will lobby Washington, D.C. to get rid of the non-compete ban.
Where'd you see that?
I'll find it.
I didn't know this.
Because they have a pretty big lobbying group that goes to D.C.
You know, it'd be great if instead of paying that lobbying money, they just paid their employees.
That would be nice. Thank you for help. We vented a lot. Thank you for letting us vent today. Thank you for hanging out with us. We will be back tomorrow. And if you haven't done so yet, please listen to the Morning Show podcast. It is available wherever you get your shows. And we would appreciate it. It's got cool info like that non-compete law that we talked about.
Yeah, tell your friends about it, please. Thank you.
Peace out.